Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio today and shooting on a little bit of a different setup, you may notice, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think I'm shooting this on, because it's not my regular setup. It's actually quite a bit different, and it's a little bit out there, so think of something that's probably a little bit obscure, but tell me, what's the image look like? What do you think of the color? How's the framing? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But anyway, in this video I wanted to talk about the Canon EOS R. Now recently I was on a job, and the specs for that job was they wanted the job shot in 29.976 or 29.97 frames per second to match some footage that they'd already captured at a prior shoot in another country even. And they sent us out with the specs of 29.97, and I wanted to have a really good way to capture continuously. And I've got a fly buzzing around if he gets in the frame. Not sure where he is, but he likes my big softbox lights in the evening here where I live on the Gold Coast. But basically what happened was I wanted to shoot that on a continuous shooting setup, and just over here I'll show you I have something pretty cool that I borrowed for this shoot. And it's the Blackmagic Design 4K video, what's it called? The Video Assist 4K. So I wanted to put the EOS R with this 4K monitor and record onto the SD cards in the 4K monitor. But I ran into a little bit of a problem in doing that, and it's a frustrating problem, but basically what I realized and what I found out is that in 1080p, so this shoots 420 8-bit internal 1080p, so full HD at all the different frame rates. It's got NTSC and PAL, so it shoots 25 frames a second. It shoots 29.976, 30 frames a second, and then it shoots 50 frames a second, 59.976, and 60 frames a second. Anyway, in 4K it also shoots all of that. So 4K with the external HDMI out, it can actually go 10-bit 422, and it can shoot that in 4K at all those different frame rates as well. But when you drop it back down to 1080, it doesn't shoot in 29.97 frames per second. It doesn't even shoot in 25 frames per second. It only shoots when you lock it into 24 frames per second. So I couldn't actually shoot with this and the Blackmagic Video Assist 4K in 29.976 full HD. I would have had to capture it in 4K. Massive amount of data. I was shooting all day, 4 interviews and B-roll across a whole 10-hour day, and I literally would have filled up like 2 gig of SD cards to get that amount of 4K footage in the 10-bit ProRes or whatever this shoots. And I didn't want to shoot in like a ProRes Lite or a ProRes Proxy. I wanted to shoot in a ProRes file or a ProRes HQ or a DNX HD or something in really high-end bitrate and high quality for this particular project. I wanted to take the EOS R and push it to its limit and basically get as much out of that camera sensor that I could, shoot in C-Log and shoot in the highest res of the 8-bit possible, which as I know, outputting through the HDMI on this, you can actually push from a 8-bit 420 to an 8-bit 422 full HD image. But disappointingly, I realized the old EOS R, although she is great, it's only outputting a 50p signal when it's in full HD. Why Canon? It's annoying. That's another little annoyance. I did do my 5 things that annoy me most about the Canon EOS R, and I was really excited to get the camera and to test it out with the Blackmagic. And anyway, I found out that it's got some limitations. So if you are wanting to shoot in 29.976, what I ended up doing was I ended up going back to the internal recording in full HD 29.976, and I've shot that project. I've offloaded all the footage to the client, and the client is super happy with it. They love the footage, And so, you know, it's 420, it's 8-bit, it's going to be used for a TV spot, it's going to be used for documentary TV in America, and they're happy with it. They're really stoked with it. So it's going up against the C300 Mark II, which, as we know, it's got an incredible full HD codec on the C300 Mark II. 29.976 would be easily recorded on that system, and it's got a really high bit rate, and it's 12 stops of dynamic range. I think it's a 10-bit 422 image, in a BT 2020 as well. I think that's what the spec was. I just shot in BT 709 or Rec 709, and client has been really happy with the footage I was able to capture so far. So I'm not too worried about the whole thing, but it was really annoying for me to find that, yeah, this is only outputting for those that really care and need that 25 frames per second up to 30 frames per second or 29.976 in full HD. It's only outputting 50 and 59.976. So a little caveat there, and that's only in full HD, not in the 4K. It outputs all the slew of different frame rates in 4K, but for some reason they've throttled the full HD, and I reckon it's probably to protect the C300 Mark II at that $16,000 price point. You know, this is producing an image that's very, very close to the image that C300 Mark II produces, and you know, this is a $3,000 camera body, you know, a $2,000 lens maybe in this package, $5,000, so competing against a $16,000 premier high-end camera of Canon's range. So I can understand why they might throttle it and, you know, make it less accessible. But regardless, something that you guys may or may not have known. Hopefully you got something out of this video, and in the next video, tune in. I'll be doing a little test of the Blackmagic 4K Assist. Sorry, what is it called? The Blackmagic Video Assist 4K. So we're doing a little test of it with the EOS R, and I'll be comparing just in-camera 4K footage, the 420 8-bit, to what it puts out in the 8-bit 422, and also the BT 2020, which is 4K in 10-bit 422. So you can have a look for yourself and see the differences there. And yeah, that's going to be my next video, so keep your eyes peeled for that video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.